Hey, this is Lee Green, and I'm the host of the Stairway to CEO podcast, a new show that brings you interviews with the brightest founders and business leaders from all over the world. Stairway to CEO just joined the Future Commerce family, and if you like podcasts like How I Built This, Masters of Scale, or The School of Greatness, then I think you're going to love it. The show comes out every Tuesday, and you can get it on your favorite podcast app. Subscribe to Stairway to CEO today at futurecommerce.fm/Stairway to CEO. That's futurecommerce.fm/Stairway to CEO.
Future Commerce is brought to you by Vertex. Vertex Cloud is for businesses of all sizes, from small and medium-sized businesses all the way to enterprise. You can find out how Vertex can help your business by visiting them online at vertexcloud.com/futurecommerce. Future Commerce is brought to you by Omnisend. Omnisend is way more than just email marketing. Drive more sales and combine more channels with one platform. Learn more about Omnisend today at omnisend.com/futurecommerce. Future Commerce is brought to you by Gladly. What if customer service could feel like a conversation between friends? Well, Gladly is a radically personal customer service platform that puts people, yes, people, at the center of a single lifelong conversation. By enabling B2C companies to focus on people talking to people, Gladly powers a lifetime of conversations across every channel, from phone, email, text, chat, and social media. See what a truly customer-centered platform looks like today at gladly.com/futurecommerce.
Hello and welcome to Future Commerce, the podcast about cutting edge and next generation commerce. I'm Brian.
And I'm Ingrid.
And today you've got Brian and Ingrid on the mic. So Phillip can go on vacation and have his fun, although I really feel like Phillip is not vacationing. He's probably working through his vacation like usual because he is that amazing. Phillip, if you're listening to this and you're still on vacation, just chill and vacation.
We got this. You can't see it obviously because we're on the podcast, but I styled my hair a la Phillip in your honor.
What? Oh my gosh. How did we not do this video? Like, I thought that you were joking when you said you were going to do that.
No, I'm actually joking. But wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be amazing. In fact, now I feel like you have to do it and screenshot it so that we can just attach that as the artwork for the episode.
Okay, maybe we'll see.
That would be crazy, and I'm just laughing really hard inside, picturing you with Phillip's hair on your head. Well, I feel like we have a lot to cover today because I'll be honest, like, we've been covering a lot of stuff, like our reports that we've been putting out and like listening to other retailer stories, but we haven't done like what's happening in the world episode in a long time. And there is a lot happening. And so I feel like, Ingrid, like we picked the perfect time to do this episode because this is right after like the craziest earnings calls that we have seen in a long time.
Seriously, my goodness. What was that? What was that target number?
The target number, was it like 73.8% of operating income growth?
Crazy.
That's nuts. It's nuts. It's best ever comparable sales growth of 24.3%. Best ever.
Yep. And everyone was so worried about all of those places like a few months ago. And now it's just like, look at them go.
It is crazy. It's clear, like all the big players were winners. Walmart was like up like crazy amounts. Amazon is up. Lowe's is up. Home Depot is up. Basically, if you're a big retailer, you're probably up.
Yeah, winner take all type of situation right now, for sure.
Yeah, which is a little concerning. I mean, that's if all the big guys are seeing all the gains, like, what does this say about the way that we're set up as a country, as an economy, as well, and also like how COVID played out?
Oh
Like,
my gosh, totally.
yeah,
I mean,
like, talk to me about that. What are your thoughts on that?
well, the setup of the country and the economy is such a good point to bring up because, we had the really big news this past week of Apple finally hitting 2 trillion, which is just like
What, right? Like, that's nuts.
The amount of zeros in a trillion, I feel like I've lost track of. And I can't, my little brain can't comprehend how much that actually is. But what I do know is that it took them 42 years to hit 1 trillion and then just 2 years to hit 2 trillion.
That is, like, I have a hard time even commenting on that because it's just so astounding. It's and I think your point here is well made. Like, the economy, the way it's set up, it sort of rewards the big players. Like, and obviously, I don't want to take things away from Apple. Like, they're an incredible company. Like, they've done a lot of the right stuff and continue to do the right stuff. But, like, that's nuts.
Yeah. They're not like, it's not like they haven't worked hard and they have, our economy, to be clear, at least in my point of view, it is set up for the bigger people and the bigger corporations to excel quicker, but they actually have to excel. So it's set up where any old person can like see these types of results. But I do think that if you are combining the way that we are set up as a country and as an economy, and the innovation and hard work and sort of DNA of a company like Apple, you really just are ultimately unstoppable.
Yeah, and I think, you look at Amazon, I think they're in the same boat in many ways. Like, Prime objectively was not Prime over this period. Like, everything, even now, I feel like it's slower than it used to be.
Subprime.
Right? Yeah, subprime, exactly. Getting into mortgages here. But Amazon, like, Prime is up. Like, subscriptions continue to rise. People still use Prime all the time.
Yeah. My addiction is raging. It is not slowed down at all, although my shipments have substantially.
Exactly. And so, like, that's it. Like, this whole period, the age of COVID, the COVID age, it's like the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, the steel age or whatever, and then the COVID age. This has rewarded larger companies, and it kind of doesn't matter like how well they responded or didn't respond to this. Like, they are, even Kohl's saw benefit from this. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it has to do with like the very questionable manner in which companies were declared essential. Like, who got declared essential is a little bit, I think, had a huge play in what these earnings now look like after all these months of them being able to stay open while other businesses weren't. But so, I mean, Target and Walmart and those big places, sure, I think people, they are pretty essential, but I think it does have a direct correlation with how well they've performed. But weren't there some weird ones that you brought up, Brian?
Yeah, although I want to walk back on something I just said. Kohl's did not see benefit from this. Kohl's is not, they were one of the few that couldn't capitalize on this, which is not surprising to me, just given their footprint. But yeah, no, I think it is interesting. There were some weird ones out there. I think before we go there, like, I just want to say, like, the one thing that really bothers me about this is that it seems to me that the little guys are the ones that maybe like, I feel like they're the ones that should be in better shape as a result of this. They should have better tools, like, and yet I think the small businesses across the country are struggling, and that makes me really, really sad. Like, that's sort of there's good news in that we're seeing growth. Like, retail sales, I believe, were actually up year over year. Was it in June? 1%, 1 or 2% up year over year in June. And yet a lot of that comes from these gains we're seeing. Like, it's just channel shift from small business to big business. And that's the saddest thing ever.
I think you are 100% right to point that out. The one small, I haven't determined how impactful this really is, but I do think about this a lot, especially when it comes to Amazon, and actually now more and more with Walmart, is a lot of Amazon's business is through their seller central. So like third party sellers, which most of those are in fact small and medium sized businesses. So
such a good point. It's a really, really good point.
When Amazon is posting these huge gains, it's not just Amazon. It's so many of the sellers that are small businesses on Amazon that are winning. And then more and more, as Walmart continues to ramp up their 3P offering, they're in the same boat. So I think that there's some merit to what they're able to do with businesses, with small businesses. The other group that we're not talking about, because they're a little bit out of this range, is Shopify. So just the fact that Shopify has grown, I don't even
it's more than doubled. Their stock price has more than doubled over the period.
I'm a happy Shopify stock owner. So it's doing pretty well. But what Shopify represents is small and medium businesses on e-commerce. And I think a lot of e-commerce businesses, if they still have inventory, continue to do well. So that's just a small little rainbow on this potentially large cloud of big guys.
That's a really, really, really good point. And actually all the small businesses that I know that were in the right industries are at a growth level that is unsustainable. And a lot of that channel does come from Amazon. And I think, like you said, like Walmart is a growing spot there too, where if you're in those channels, like, you're going to see benefit if you're in the right industry. And so maybe actually maybe my revised position on this, and I think you really called something out well here, is if you're in the right industry, then you saw serious success, like overwhelming success through this period. And if you're in the wrong industry and you're not at scale, then you lost. So it's the small businesses that are in the wrong industries are the ones that we should all be really sad for. Small businesses in the right industries are sold out of everything. It doesn't matter what channel they were in.
Yeah. And now I think the next step for them, if I had to give them advice, is to make sure that they're continuing their conversation with those consumers that they just gained. Like, make sure that they're signed up for email, following them on social media, offering them learning more about them so that they can continue to service them. Because man, just from being in marketing for so long, it's really, really hard and really expensive to acquire a new consumer. Like, they should be doubling down on retention now. Like, retention marketing should really, really be what people are focused on in 2021, as the people who have won within this new world really have an opportunity to invest in those customers they acquired.
Yeah, that's so true. Although if they did acquire them through a third-party marketplace, it's a lot harder to engage those customers. Not impossible, but super, super hard if you acquired them, quote unquote, through Amazon. But I do think brand building on Amazon is possible. Clearly, it's just continued engagement of those customers. It can be a challenge.
Definitely.
It's interesting. Well, what else has been interesting is to see the businesses that were maybe a little larger that did suffer through this period. Most of them were in like apparel and fashion. And we've seen a lot of bankruptcies over this period. Like more, we thought we were going through a retail apocalypse before. Nah, that was nothing.
It just speeded it. It sped it up about 5 years. Like it just aggregated whatever was going to trickle in very, very sadly, like death by 1,000 cuts, just got severed.
Yes, exactly. You were in there with a pocket knife before, and out came the machete.
Yes. But I think there's still hope, right? Like I think some of these guys are being, consolidated and bought out by other places that actually might give them a second life.
Yeah, and I think that there's going to be these brands are going to emerge probably stronger a lot faster. Like it was going to be so brutal. That long, slow death was so frustrating and annoying.
Yeah.
Like it just crowded the marketplace and made things, I don't know, like retail was annoying.
And you just felt like you got to a point where you felt sorry for them. Like you'd walk by a like Men's Warehouse and be like, oof, that's a sad place.
Yeah. Oh man. I really I went in there a couple times many, many years ago. Even then I was like, I do not want to be here. This is uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm like really, really looking forward to what happens when these companies get bought out by hopefully people who like know what to do with them. And I feel really strongly about there being a very, very good marketplace opportunity for a brand like all the Taylor brands, like Men's Warehouse and all those brands like Joseph A. Bank. I think that if they were to continue their ethos of creating affordable, accessible men's clothing, but actually now understand what men's fashion looks like and what men want to be wearing. There's like 2 or 3 brands right now that actually are hitting that on the head, and everyone else is just kind of flailing about. And so I think if they were to come back with some really great but still affordable options for men, I think there's a huge opportunity for those guys to come back swinging.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. Like men's fashion, I feel like trailed women's fashion by a bit, and in terms of like the way that men sort of adopted athleisure a little bit later. And we saw brands like Rhone and Lulu also introduced their men's line, and it started like the whole athleisure thing started to work its way into men's closets, and again accelerated so fast by COVID as people just wanted to be comfortable. And I feel like this could change men's fashion forever. And so like there will be a place, you're right, for like more formal men's clothes, but it's going to have to be fresh. It's going to have to pick up on the fact that men want to be really comfortable and don't have to dress up as much anymore as we continue to work from home.
And even after that, like think about, I'm really racking my brain to think about what occupations men have today that will require them to wear suits in the way that they did even 10 years ago.
Yes, it's true.
We will eventually go back to offices. We're not all going to be wearing our, pants without with elastic waistbands, but we will. I don't really know what you wear to an office job. Really, I don't. It's certainly not a suit. Maybe if you work on Wall Street or are a lawyer, but I don't think those people are shopping at Men's Warehouse anyway.
Right. Exactly. That's a really good point. The professions that require those kinds of clothes, which I could even see that changing, like coming up soon. The professions that require those clothes are professions where men are going to have more money to spend than Men's Warehouse.
Yeah. But I still like, so having worked really closely with like John Barbados, there was a huge need for clothes that could be worn both casually and professionally, but that had a level of taste. And obviously that was a luxury brand, but the message, you can distill that to a more accessible price point, more accessible style. I'm really at a loss for what brands deliver that. And so that's why I'm thinking if they really turn around what they're there for and what their use case is, I think that they could have a really cool second and third life.
Future Commerce is brought to you by Vertex. Vertex Cloud is the automation platform for tax calculation and use tax and everything in between for businesses of all sizes. From SMB all the way to enterprise, businesses all over the world trust Vertex for their tax calculation needs, and you should too. Check them out today at vertexcloud.com/futurecommerce. OmniSend is one platform to control all of your marketing channels. From marketing automation, SMS, and email, to forms and segmentation, you can bring together different channels under one platform with OmniSend. OmniSend's powerful platform allows you to link together every customer touch point with one dashboard. And did I mention they have the most transparent pricing in the entire MarTech industry? Find out why brands like Fred Siegel and Unilever trust OmniSend with their customer relationships. Find out more about OmniSend today at omnisend.com/futurecommerce. Gladly is a radically personal customer service platform. Gladly gives customer service teams the ability to treat their customers like people, from knowing their last purchase, their dress size, or even their child's upcoming birthday, all before ever saying hello. Built for the way that people communicate today, a customer and their history are never parted within Gladly. And all conversations across all channels are all contained under a single conversation thread to give agents, the real heroes here, the tools that they need to deliver exceptional customer service experiences. Gladly works with some of the most innovative brands in the world, helping them to deliver a more powerful and more personal experience for their customers. Some of those customers are JetBlue, Tumi, Joanne, Godiva, and Native Shoes, and maybe even you. Don't wait. Find out today what a radically personal customer service platform is all about. Visit gladly.com/futurecommerce to learn more.
I think you're right. And I would throw Brooks Brothers in that category as well. Like, I mean, I guess they're not as affordable as Men's Warehouse, because Men's Warehouse was pretty affordable. K&G Fashion, all the tailored brands were quite affordable. The Brooks Brothers is probably a bit of a step up from that, and I think that they have that same opportunity though, because I feel like they started to trend that direction even before this. Maybe they were thinking a little bit ahead, but maybe their clientele hadn't necessarily picked up on it yet, and so I think they lost a lot of brands or a lot of customers just based on reputation would be my guess. Like, I don't have anything Brooks Brothers. I didn't shop at Brooks Brothers, and even if they changed their brand and did something like different with it, I probably wouldn't have shopped there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very like American heritage type of brand where it's very like East Coast pop collar,
right?
Low crowd,
right?
And I think that like that style has sort of lost its grip on popular culture, especially with like things, the sort of like de-whiteification of our culture and Black Lives Matter and things like that. I think when I think about Brooks Brothers, I think about like a very, very white heritage American brand. That that is a struggle. But there is like a pedigree that comes to that. And if they're able to transition into what a modern heritage, like affordable-ish, but still like good quality brand,
Yeah.
I think they could do well. I put them in the same category, not to the same degree, but like they're like a Ralph Lauren, where they just
Right.
need to figure out what their new version of relevant looks like in today's market, and give their consumers a high quality product, and they'll be totally fine.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. The only caveat I would have to that is I feel like, so we had Italic on the show recently. I really wanted to join that and I could not join that interview. So Phillip had the pleasure of interviewing Jeremy from Italic himself. And I feel like those kinds of brands, I think are supplanting. They're supplanting, maybe not Brooks Brothers. I mean, that Brooks Brothers was already supplanted, but like the Ralph Lauren's and Calvin Klein's of the world, the ones that cover both clothing and home and bedding and like broader category, like Italic has the opportunity to completely disrupt those types of legacy brands that America's looked to for so long, like Calvin Klein, like Ralph Lauren, like Tommy Hilfiger, and even like the Izods of the world, and those brands are kind of like they're just not relevant anymore in any way.
That to me, right? So like I think you're doing a very smart thing, which you're putting them into the like full clothing and lifestyle category. And so when you're looking at it through that lens, Italic is eating their lunch, for better terms, right? Like let's call a spade. But the thing that I think has made them lose their way is not a company like Italic. I think they lost their way a good 15 years ago. Because what happened was it became all about their assortment and their distribution. And what made them really, really magical in the 90s was their emotional connection to the consumer and the representation of what it felt like to wear a Ralph Lauren shirt.
Yes.
To have Ralph Lauren decor in your home. You felt emotionally connected with a lifestyle. Like Ralph was brilliant and in developing this like American dream and weaving that for people, and bringing you along for that ride through his polos that you can buy at Macy's. And I think he was so brilliant in that, and then sort of lost it. It's a really hard thing to create to begin with. And he had a very, very relevant brand for like 30 years. So like hats off to that.
Yeah.
The fact that he did that for so long, and Calvin Klein too, and Tommy Hilfiger too. Like they wove this emotion that I think that other brands, like even coming to the market and offering a similar assortment and a better pricing model and all of that, are light years away from doing.
I think such a good analysis of like how they lost their way. I feel like how they won is still a way that these brands that are coming back from bankruptcy could potentially, like, if they can, they need to recognize the reason they lost their way was not COVID. COVID did not kill these brands. It did not force them into bankruptcy. They were headed that direction
100%.
Regardless.
100%.
And so they can't just blame it on that. And the ones that do will not make it back. Like they can't just go on and assume that they can operate the way that they were before. The only way they're going to be able to, I think, come back is, like you said, like the reason people buy something is because they want to have that sort of emotional connection to it. We look at Neiman Marcus, like there was a mystique to Neiman for a long time. And I feel like, and obviously they're not a brand, they're a retailer. I mean, they are a brand as well, but that I feel like the mystique of all these brands we were talking about, the thing that compelling emotional reason to be there, the thing that made you feel special when you bought from them, the moment you lose that, all of a sudden you're just competing on price.
To 100%. Like you're dead in the water. It's really, really going to be difficult for you to crawl back without realizing that you've lost the emotional connection. Like that to me is you go from being a brand to being a commodity.
Exactly.
And once you're in commodityville, man, it's really tough to come back.
Well, you're competing with Amazon Basics and Kirkland.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, you're going to lose. You're going to lose to Amazon Basics and Kirkland.
That's right.
Kirkland being Costco's house brand.
Yeah. I mean, and people from all walks of life are form connections emotionally with brands. And I think that's the reason why marketing is such a powerful tool. It's the reason why branding is so important. It's even like I find myself, this is funny. So I just moved to Seattle.
Yeah.
I'm burying the lead there, but moved to Seattle, loving it so far. And I'm having these, like, moving from New York, all of the grocery stores and all of that are new to me. And they're like, oh, when I'm buying my weekly groceries, they're like, do you have a card? And I'm like, actually, no, I have to sign up and have the card. And so I live in Ballard, which within like,
which is cool.
Which
Ballard's
is
really cool.
Very, very into Ballard. We could do a whole thing on Ballard. But within like a 5-minute walk or drive, there is every single grocer in my area, right? So there's like Safeway and QFC and Trader Joe's and PCC. And so for those of you who are not in this area, the PCC is kind of like the fancier market. They have really, really high quality
everything
and everything, like the healthiest version, the most local version. They have a really great brand ethos where they support local farms. It's just a really great place to shop. But sometimes you go to PCC and sometimes you go to QFC, and that's okay. But what was funny was I noticed this about even my own buying habits. Was I went to QFC, of course, got the card because you get the best deals. And then went to PCC and I wanted, their card as well. But then when it came to like which tag of their program makes it to my keychain, I only want PCC on my keychain.
You give QFC, aka Kroger, your phone number at the checkout. You have PCC on your keychain because you have an emotional connection to it. Also, you want other people to see you're associated with it.
Exactly. It's a branding thing. It's like, even I, who have been like a branding marketer for like pretty much my whole career, am susceptible to it. Like I'm aware of how important it is. And I'm totally, it was like this funny moment where I was like, man, I'm totally this like character that belongs in their marketing boardroom of like a persona.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so interesting. So you've built your whole career in marketing, and I think this illustrates how powerful it is. You know what it is that's happening, and you understand that you're sort of stepping into like PCC's exactly what they want you to do, right?
Yeah.
But you're doing it anyway because it actually does matter. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand, that marketing actually has a legitimate place in the way that we operate as a society and function as a community.
100%.
This is it's not just a bunch of let's just figure out how we can get people to buy things. It actually does determine like how we operate and how we connect with each other and who we connect with. It's a much bigger impact on us than we even realize in terms of how we form our communities, and for good or for bad. And I think that's why we talk about a lot of what we talk about on the show. We need to make sure that we're doing things in the way that is good for people. And ultimately, that will be good for our brands.
Definitely. Definitely. I think that is like, as brands get developed and evolve, there are a lot of different things that consumers now look to feel like they're part of a brand. Like, I am not just excited to feel like I'm a PCC member. I'm excited to be connected with what they stand for.
Yes, absolutely. Interesting things. Like I love to think about how I think that there's a responsibility that comes with this. That as we look at KPIs, that responsibility to our customers and to our potential customers about how we are impacting their lives, that should be something that weighs on us as well, like, and be a formal part of how we think about the job that we're doing. And I don't think I've ever seen a job with a KPI like, hey, how are you impacting the broader community? It's pretty hard to quantify, I guess, but I think that the impact that we have on communities and it just makes me think of like the small business impact that we're having right now. And I love what American Express has done recently with their focus on small businesses. It's been forever, but they've been doing it for a long time, but like they're emphasizing it even more now. I wish more brands out there would try to ensure the success and long-term growth of small businesses in the way that American Express has.
I agree. I actually think that companies either like American Express or other ones that have the power to invest in small businesses and sort of incubate them and bring them along on journeys and give them the tools that they need to succeed should be more common. Like, I think every single big company should have some form of like a small, medium business incubator or
Yes.
a community that they cultivate to help their local businesses, even if it's just the local businesses of where their headquarters are and things like
Yes.
that. I think they all have a responsibility to do that.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. Like, I believe entrepreneurship's at an all-time low or near an all-time low right now. And that, like, you'd think that it would be higher because you see all this stuff about people getting funded in VC culture and so on. But the fact is, like, it's very difficult to start a small business and be successful in it. And so it's kind of scary to step out there. So yes, I agree. And actually, that's why I love the Walmart Shopify partnership. I know we've talked about this on the show before, but not from this angle. Like, effectively what I see Walmart doing, and this is so like, Walmart is, I would argue that they're doing an incredible job of shifting their image. It's taken them a long time to do it, but from like the 90s and into the 2000s,
Definitely.
Walmart was look at like, get out there and, burn the world down sort of business. Right.
We're going to die.
Yes, like whatever it takes, we're just going to win. Like, we're going to get out there and we're going to put a store in and we're going to shut down all the competition and we're going to win. And now, like, this partnership with Shopify, I think that Walmart is saying, they've been saying this for a long time, but Walmart is saying, we want to partner with you. We can actually not win by ourselves. This is something that has to be a community effort. And our customers deserve to have access to small businesses around the world. And I see them actually, like, I know Amazon sort of did it first, but I feel like Amazon did it in such a way that was Amazon centric. I feel like Walmart's actually kind of like reaching out and putting the small business first, which is so weird. It's so weird.
Well, it's interesting because I think that like Walmart has been around for far longer than Amazon, just as a company. And they're probably at a different place in their like existence and phase of life. Someone once said something to me that has stuck with me to this day, and it was about like the two mountains. And your first mountain of life is you are just hiking up on your own, and everything that you're doing and all the skills that you're building are for yourself, right? In order to just like get up the mountain and succeed. And then the second mountain of life is where you help other people get up the mountain as well. And that mountain is actually a bigger, more rewarding mountain. And that's obviously like a personal thing for me. And I really do identify that. And I do think about when I do things like, am I on the first mountain or the second mountain? And I think that Amazon is still very much on the first mountain. They might be on it for a while, but Walmart, for whether they were forced to or not, and I would probably argue that they were forced to get on that second mountain, has infinitely benefited themselves for being on the second mountain. And so I think that like Amazon has a lot to learn from Walmart, but I also feel like Walmart has a different point of view. And I think that that's helping them win today. Because if they had stayed with that same mindset that they had in the 90s and 2000s, I don't think that we would be talking about Walmart right now.
I think you're right. I think they would have become as relevant as Kohl's.
100%.
I love that mountain analogy, by the way. I'm totally going to use that, especially because I've been doing a bunch of hiking lately. And like, it really is true. I feel like I've been hiking like to get to the point where I feel comfortable taking my kids out hiking on bigger hikes.
Yeah.
And that's going to be me on that second mountain. I really, really like that analogy. The other thing I was kind of thinking about was Walmart. You're totally right about Walmart being older. They are, I also feel like in a bit of like a midlife crisis, like, oh my gosh, like I've burned through so much. It's like that, 40-year-old like Wall Street.
Definitely. They're buying a Ferrari. They're setting up Instacart. Let's go.
Oh my gosh, no. And they're also having that moment. They're like, nothing I've done in my life has any meaning. Like, I've got to do something that's actually valuable. I've just focused on myself my whole life. And now I've like, I realized it was all for naught. Like,
definitely. And I think that's like, that's the difference between that like old rich person who is like happy and fulfilled, and there's that like curmudgeon-y old rich person who never figured that out, that was really the secret to success.
Yes.
And
yeah, hopefully that's not Amazon in the end. They're going to be the old curmudgeon. Walmart's going to be the person that's like, I've changed my ways, and like goes and like does all this stuff to atone for the life that they led.
Totally. We should write a children's book about them.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Like 2 different grandpas telling a story.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
So good.
So fun.
Oh, well, I think we might be coming up on the end of our time, which really makes me sad because I want to talk about this all day long, and we should do another episode soon. And when Philip's back from vacation, because I think he'd have a lot to say about all this too.
I know. I'm kind of dying. I want the Phillip on my shoulder to chime in and tell me that I'm wrong, which would be fantastic.
I know. Yeah. Phillip loves to tell people they're wrong. So no.
I love it. I live for it. I'm like, hit me with it, Phillip. What do you think? What's wrong?
Yeah, it's the two angels on your shoulders. I'm there like telling you, oh, Ingrid, you're so right. It's so good. And then Philip's on the other side, like, no, Phillip, or Ingrid, you're wrong. Like, no, it's good. This has been so fun. We'll do another episode soon. Thank you so much, Ingrid, as always, for popping on with me today. And it's always so good to have your insights and hear your thoughts on what's happening.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. And thank you for listening. We're always excited to talk to you as well. So please reach out, leave us your thoughts, whether it be email or on LinkedIn or on Twitter or any other of our channels. Join in on the conversation and help us shape the future together. Thanks for listening.